Good afternoon and welcome to the latest installment in Anthill Magazine's Undie Empire webinar series. Today's topic is how to get more leads, make more friends and have more meetings in your underpants. I'm James Tuckerman and I will be your moderator and your presenter today. Now, while people continue to log in and shuffle into the virtual back seats, I'd like to point out how you can interact with us today. Of course, interaction is a fun and essential part of our webinars. At the side of the screen, you'll see a Q&A box. If you have any questions, just tap them out using this tool. Now let's give it a go. Now we've had 400 people register for today's topic and we've still only got 90 people attending, so we'll give them a little bit of time to get in. And while we're doing that, why don't we have a crack at having a play around with this box? And I'm going to ask you to provide an answer to this question. What was the most unusual way you have sourced a new lead or client? Now, I want you to be thinking source, place, method. What was the most unusual way you have sourced a new lead or a client? For example, yesterday I met a consulting prospect on a plane from Melbourne to Sydney. Now I'm just having a look at all these different questions here. Gee, a couple of other people have said planes. Someone said at the childcare centre. Someone else has said in the park. Through LinkedIn. Well, that's not so unusual these days, I hate to say. From my husband's business. Now, I'm flying solo today, which is going to be lots of fun for me, as you can imagine, which means that it might be a little bit hard for me to answer all of your questions. In a shoe shop. Thanks, Trudy. So what I'd like to invite you to do is, if you have questions, please do tap them out during the presentation. But also be mindful that I'm flying solo, so sometimes it's a little bit harder for me to keep track of all the questions. So what I'll be doing is I'll be dedicating a bit of time at the end to answer your specific questions. So if you have a thought or an idea as we go along, tap it out and I'll hopefully get to it at the end. Now also, of course, if you like to interact with us on Twitter, please do so using our hashtag #UndieEmpire. It's very interesting now to type in that hashtag and see what people have said in the take-homes from previous webinars from the last 18 months since we started to do this. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. So, without further ado, let's get started. How to generate leads, make new friends in your underpants. Now, I'd like to kick things off today with a little confession. The confession is that I am a borderline reformed Luddite. Now, what does that word mean? Well, many moons ago, there were these dudes and dudettes that were called the Luddites, and these people rejected technology. Now, more recently, the term has been used to identify people in the technology adoption spectrum. So at the far most advanced end, you usually have visionaries, and these are the people like Steve Jobs, well ahead of the curve. Then you have early adopters. Then you have something else which I've forgotten what it is, so I say Google it. When in doubt, stay calm, keep calm, and Google it. And at the other end, the backward end, you have the Luddite. So I often describe myself as a reformed or borderline Luddite, which might be an unusual way to position myself at the beginning of a presentation, largely centered around technology. To emphasize the point, I'd like to share a quote. There is no way business owners will want to use the internet to gather information. Who would have said something so ridiculous? That is just the most short-sighted quote I've ever seen. Who would have said something like that? Well, I hate to say it, but that was me who said that. I made that quote way back in 2004. It seems like an absurd thing to say, but I want you to cut me some slack. Because way back in 2004, if you can remember the state of the internet, it was a very slow unpleasant process logging onto the internet. You remember, that's what it was like, and you'd sit there and you'd wait for a while. And if you were fortunate, you may have had an ADSL connection in your house or something like that. Well, I made that claim, and I said that quite publicly, but I was also only 26, 27 years of age, so sometimes you don't necessarily think it. Never say never, but that's what I did. The other reason why I said that was because at the time I was, of course, launching Anthill, the print magazine, which many of our listeners are, I'm sure, are familiar with the fact that Anthill was once a print magazine. And we did this at the time because it was really, really obvious and simple to us to run a print magazine, because business owners didn't have the time to wait to gather information on the internet. It was a clunky thing, and they were more likely to grab a magazine, jump in the taxi or jump in the aeroplane and read it on the go. So that was the context that I presented that message. Now, by 2008, the world had changed quite significantly, and the GFC had crept in, and the business model, such as a print magazine, was not as attractive to a lot of people anymore. And we made the bold decision to become a 100% digital product, as many of you know. What surprised us, and I think it surprised everyone, was that within about 6 months, we were listed by Nielsen Online Ratings among the top 50 business and finance websites in Australia according to traffic. Now, the number one website was the Australian Stock Exchange. The number one was ComSec, and we were in the top 50. Absolutely delighted and astounded we were. I didn't say that we were in the top 50. We were actually at number 45. So we were in the top 50, but not in the top 10. Number 45. Now, a little secret, which we don't mind revealing now, but it was obviously a very much guarded secret back then, is we undertook this transformation with a budget of about $900. That was our development budget. What's particularly pleasing when I look at this graph here of who was in the top 50 are some of the other organisations in this list, particularly number 46, when you get News Limited and 9MSN joined together to create a business website. I don't know, but I suspect that they spent more than $900. I don't know, you tell me. I think they may have just add another zero or two. So that was my background, and that's why I describe myself as a Luddite. I was dragged kicking and screaming into the digital age that we're now all a part of, and is largely the focus of today's presentation. So what are the benefits of being a Luddite? Well, one, you think like the layman. I don't use jargon because I don't know any jargon. You bring an outside perspective. I don't know what technology can or cannot do. I just know what I want it to do and what it needs to do. And hopefully you can simplify the complicated, which is what I want to do today. That is me, James Tuckerman, the self-confessed borderline reformed Luddite. So to properly explain what I'm going to do today, I'm going to start with a reasonably cryptic question, a question that you may have heard raised in some of our webinars earlier, a statement that I first heard in the key person of influence events run by Daniel Priestley and Glenn. Why is your favorite celebrity chef rich and famous? Sounds like a funny question to ask. Why is your favorite celebrity chef rich and famous? How does that relate to getting leads? Well, I'll explain in a moment. And to do that, I'd like to reveal what I call my mini-map. These are the 4 principles that I believe govern just about all success online. Now, I know we're talking about leads and meetings and making friends, but it often begins with these 4 principles: measurable, findable, shareable, manageable. These are the things, these are the principles that guide everything that we do online, and every time we do something well, it's usually driven by these 4 principles. In fact, everything we do has to include these 4 principles. What am I talking about? Let me explain. Measurable. Everything that you do needs to be measurable. Set goals. Now today we're talking about leads, so I'm going to say smart leads. That's our goals. Leads, friends, and meetings. Set goals. Like, so many people do stuff online, whatever it's going to be, and they don't set measurable goals. They talk about engagement, and they talk about building a community, and all these things. They're all well and good, but at the end of the day you need clear goals, and they might be selling something or getting someone to download a voucher or something. But today I'm talking about smart leads. That's my goal. The second thing I said was findable. Now that used to be get yourself on in the yellow pages or something like that. And by the way, a couple of people have asked, yes, this presentation will be available online after the webinar. I am recording it now, and I'm also going to embed these slides on our website. It's not a slide deck like PowerPoint. It's actually a tool called Prezi. It's all on one canvas, as you'll see. So I'll embed it on our site. So the second one, as I said, was findable, get found. It used to be get in the yellow pages. Now it's basically get to the top of Google. That's what getting found means to a lot of people these days. Search engine optimization, stupid. The third one was shareable. Now people talk about social media a lot. They get excited about social media, as they should, because it's very exciting. But when I really want to simplify it, the one thing that social media does better than just about anything else is that it empowers your target market to do your marketing for you. Get yourself shared. And the last one I said was manageable. It's often the hardest one to do. And you know what? Social media is great. Being found on Google is great. Having goals is obviously essential. But it's really difficult to do that stuff if you're tweeting 24/7 or updating your LinkedIn profile every 5 minutes, or adding a new status update to Facebook, or micromanaging your search engine optimization. So the last principle that we have is manageable. Everything needs to be able to be automated so that you can do stuff while you sleep. Right? While you sleep. Measurable, findable, shareable, manageable. Very simple, huh? So, I said before, why is it that your favorite celebrity chef is rich and famous? Well, the answer is because they share all their recipes. 24/7, 7 days a week, they tell you how they do what they do. And sooner or later, you buy the cookbook, or you go to the restaurant, or you, if you're really rich, you go and hire them to cater your function or wedding or something like that, or you just watch them on TV and buy their videos or whatever it's going to be. They share their recipes 24/7. Now this completely contradicts what a lot of people have been taught, particularly consultants or B2B professionals who are in the business of seeking leads. And what a lot of people from that background have been taught is that the margin is in the mystery. The more secrets that you hold, the more money that you can charge. The margin is in the mystery. But I hate to break it to you folks, half your secrets, all of your secrets maybe, your business secrets, and your tradable IP is now available on YouTube. Someone else has created the video and they have published it. And why are they doing that? Well, they are doing that because they are creating findable, shareable content that they can use to generate leads or get traffic to their website or get people to download coupons so they can get people into their shops, so they can invite people to have coffee meetings with them, whatever it's going to be. Content gets you leads. The other interesting thing about it, of course, is that when you do or create something that's interesting that people find valuable, it becomes an extra heightened form of word of mouth. Word of mouth used to be restricted to the people who used to be your clients, and they'd tell their friends that you were good. Now someone can watch your video sharing a gem of wisdom on YouTube, and the next thing you know, they're telling their mates about this awesome guy that they saw this video that knows all about intellectual property, knows all about search engine optimization, knows all about whatever that your business might be in. It becomes a heightened form of word of mouth. So this is where I begin when I'm talking about getting more leads to make more friends and have more meetings in your underpants. I'm talking about begin the relationship building process by sharing your content. Content made manageable. Of course, the challenge therefore then is, well, that sounds well and good, James, but to be honest, that sounds kind of hard. Quick question, give me a shout out. Who finds it easy to create online content? This is where I wait for a while and maybe one or two people actually will maybe tap in. Yes, I do. In fact, no one has tapped anything in yet. Yes, thank you, somebody has. One person has. The truth is, sometimes, thank you, Rosie. The truth is that most of us find it very difficult to create online content that's compelling and remarkable. So what I want to do is I want to simplify it, and I want to make it manageable. Hard, yes? Well, I hope not after we get through the next 20 minutes. So the beginning point that I usually suggest to people when they want to use content to create leads, attract new prospects and clients, is how to create a lead magnet. Now, yes, this is a bit of jargon, lead magnet. It's an expression that's used by affiliate marketers a lot, who are really, really mercenary when it comes to this online marketing stuff. But as a result of that, they're fixated on the numbers and what works and what doesn't work. So I tend to watch them closely, even though sometimes they can be a little bit chunky. They use the expression lead magnet, and what they're talking about is an item of content of high perceived value developed to collect a lead. What do I mean by high perceived value? I don't mean something that's of value to everyone. I mean that it's high perceived value to your target audience. So for Anthill, for example, we sometimes offer Tom McCaskill's 238-page ebook on how to raise venture capital. That's only of interest to our target market. That obviously makes sure that we're only preaching to people who are interested in what we do, and we're avoiding attracting tire kickers and people who are going to waste our time. Step 1, create a compelling topic. Now, I know a lot of people have jumped on today because they want to know about technology tools, and I'll get to that point in a minute. But this is actually the fundamental, most important starting point. Create a compelling topic. And this actually requires a little bit of creativity. I want to ask who really knows their stuff? Who really knows their stuff? Because if you really know your stuff, I want you to help me create a headline to sell your stuff. If you're using a headline right now to sell your stuff, tap it out for me and show me what you got. So you're using a headline now to really get people interested in what it is that you do. You might be using this headline at the top of a brochure. Young People Matter. There we go. We've got someone from CAT, Young People Matter. We provide solutions to help your business exit with honours. I wonder what that is. Anyway, getting better at, oh, now they're coming in fast. Oh, thick and fast. I might have to download that and share it. Selling authority on your business. Remove bad smells fast. Thank you, Rob. Okay. I asked you to do that, and I actually set you up, not for disaster, but I knew that most people, when I say, give me a headline to promote or sell your business, of course you're going to come up with a headline which talks about what you do, like the printing specialist that's just come in here, the small business printing specialist. Now that's great, and it tells everyone what it is that you do, but there's one thing about when we're talking about marketing. There's only one thing that your customer cares about, and the customer cares about, guess what? They care about themselves. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to tell another little story, and I'm going to turn this on its head, turn this idea on its head. Some years ago, I managed to find myself at a networking event, and I found myself standing with this young Chinese man. People were circling around him like flies. He was obviously very, very popular. And I knew that he was someone important, but I didn't know who he was, so I started a conversation with him. As it turns out, he was the Mark Zuckerberg of China. So, an important dude. The Mark Zuckerberg of China. An important dude. Now, I asked him, as is my wont, I said, what advice would you give new entrepreneurs or new business owners, which is our target market? Not necessarily new, but that was the question I asked at the time. And he turned around and said to me, most business owners spend their lives trying to sell vitamins when they should be trying to sell headache tablets. Now, that's a funny thing for a man to say, particularly with a Chinese accent, very stilted, very Confucianistic. You know, young man sells vitamins, should be selling headache tablets. I thought about this for a long time, and after a while, it suddenly occurred to me what he was talking about. I hate to say it, but most of us sell vitamins. We're actually not selling headache tablets. Most of us are selling something that will benefit someone, but there's no sense of urgency attached to it. So right now, for example, I've had two I've had 2 soy lattes today, 2 coffees. I don't know if you know this, but I'm now depleted in vitamin B. But I'll tell you what, if 15 minutes before this webinar began, it suddenly occurred to me that I was depleted in vitamin B, I would not have shut down the webinar, said we're not doing it. However, if I had a headache or a migraine, I would have been racing to the chemist to get a tablet to solve my problem, my immediate problem. As Aaron has said, we respond best to pain. It's unfortunate, but it's true. To elaborate even further, one of my former editors, Paul, after leaving Anthill magazine when we made this transition, suddenly our staff became very popular when we went from print to digital and did well, he found himself, would you believe, at a vitamin company, selling vitamins. And of course he got there and I said, Paul, we want to sell more folate. Now I don't know if you know much about folate, but that's what pregnant women take to reduce birth defects, folate. And of course they said, we've got this great idea, we want to offer a 20% discount on folate. I don't know what the headline was. We offer the best folate, the most nourishing folate, the most hassle-free folate. I don't know. But what Paul did is he turned around and he said, why don't you run a fact sheet instead that says, here are the 10 things a pregnant woman must never eat. The 10 things a pregnant woman must never eat. Now, which do you think would be more effective? Now, it wasn't that it was just more effective to the audience because it identified the headache, but it was also more effective because he'd created an item of content that was findable and, more importantly, shareable. Because if any husband, mother, father, brother-in-law, brother, sister had a pregnant person in their family and saw that, what would they have done? Of course, they're going to forward the fact sheet. They are going to share it. And when they share it, they're making it more shareable, obviously. And at the bottom of that fact sheet, I'd imagine, would be a coupon saying 20%, get a 20% discount on folate. So when I say, come up with your compelling headline, I usually say name 3 pain points. These pain points might not be actually what you do or even the problem that you solve, but they are pain points that are directly specific to your target market. These are the things that keep your target market awake at night. Create a compelling topic. Now, I often say 5 ways to stop something or 5 ways to do something. 5 ways to prevent your event being a disaster, 5 ways to do whatever it is as well. Those 5, 10, 7s, 12s are often an easy way to start, and also if you do that, you can turn it into a series. And it's also much easier to write a piece when you've got 10 pain points that you need to address. But I say start with 3. The second, create a perception of value. Okay, someone want to tell me what a white paper and an eBook have in common? Someone want to tap out what a white paper and an eBook have in common? Hit me, folks. Words. Thank you. I can't see your name. It hasn't come up. Something. Thank you. Words. Information. I think it's Melissa. Information. Marianne. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it more specific. They're both the same. Thank you. I think it's Tracy. I'm having trouble seeing some of the names here. I'm only seeing the first half of the names. A white paper and an ebook, if I really want to break it down, they're a PDF. They're a PDF. They're a Word document that someone has written on. They've made them look pretty, and then they've saved them as a PDF. Haha. But however, we've created a perception of value by calling them a white paper or an ebook. That sounds much better than check out this Word document that I've just written some stuff on, made it pretty and converted it into a PDF. They're a white paper and ebook. What I'm doing is I'm creating a perception of value. Now, what's an eSeries? An eSeries is a fancy way of saying we've written 5 different blog posts of 7 or 10 or 12, and you can sign up to receive one of these blog posts every week for the next 7 weeks or so. That's an eSeries. What is a checklist? Well, a checklist I probably won't get onto today. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a link. I'm already looking at the timer. I'll send you a link at the end of this to show you an example of a checklist, a content marketing checklist. But if you've ever read a women's magazine or something like that, and there's, does your boyfriend really love you? And you go, yeah, I want to know whether my girlfriend really loves me and my boyfriend really loves me. And you fill out this checklist or questionnaire or quiz. Very effective for getting a pre-qualified lead. Because the customer wants to know the answer of whether they qualify for something. It's very specific to your business. Now I'm going to share a tool right now that I use. I learned this from the affiliate marketers called an e-cover creator. Now I'm talking about creating a perception of value. What eCover Creator does is it allows you to create something like this, or like this, or like this. Quite literally in, 5 minutes. Sorry, my slide's a little bit faster than your slides, so I'm sorry if that was catching up. Something like this, I'm going to go back again so you can have a look at this. There we go. Even you can make agricultural innovations look pretty. What this here was a PDF, and it's given a three-dimensional aspect. Now, why do we find this valuable? Because we used to buy stuff at places like Borders. Remember them? Now, this place used to buy books. There's things made out of paper. You may have seen them around. But most people now realize that when they see something like this, it adds a heightened sense of value, and you're offering it. The 5 immutable laws of sales. This could be 5 videos that you've embedded on your website and hosted on YouTube. Now, it's very clear to most people that they understand it, and the text around it explains to them that this is a digital product. And they're getting it as a digital product, and it's free. But it doesn't hurt the perception of value by making it look something like that. Step 3, nurture the prospects. So you've offered them something of value, they've seen it, they've signed up for it, they've usually paid with something like an email address. Now the next step is to automate, automate, automate. Now this is really the whole point of how to get leads in your sleep. Firstly, you're becoming this thought leader, you're providing information and services and what have you, and people are sharing it and all this other stuff. Interestingly, my mate Anthony Gaddy, some of you will have come through his network. He created a video not so long ago on a pitching technique that he calls the Gaddy pitch. Well, actually, we call it the Gaddy pitch. We gave him that name, gave that name to him, but he didn't have a name for it. But that pitching video is about 8 minutes, and I think he's had about 600 people view it in the last fortnight. In his words, they are 600 coffee meetings that he no longer has to have. 600 coffee meetings that he doesn't have to have. Someone wants to know what was the name of the product creating pretty eBooks there. That was called eCover Creator, and I'll tell you what, I'll send you my link. I'll send you my affiliate link, and anyone who uses it, I think I'll make $6.42 or something outrageous like that. I'll get rich through affiliate links. So when I talk about automating, I use something that I call my basic loop. I've presented this basic loop at a couple of events recently, but I haven't been able to go into it in much detail. Today I'm going to do that as best as I can using an online forum like this, the basic loop. The tools that I use for this basic loop, I've just introduced one. For the calling card, or the lead magnet, some people call it, I use eCover Creator. That's what I use. I'll send you a link to that. The second tool that I use is a tool called Unbounce, and the third tool that I use is Aweber. And in my basic loop, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be introducing my calling card to as many people in my target market as possible, which is basically something that looks pretty and looks well. That's my calling card. Responds to a pain point. I'm selling a headache instead of a vitamin. And when they see that, I'm going to send them to my squeeze page. Now, this is another one of those funny terms used by affiliate marketers. Why is it called a squeeze page? They're very literal, these dudes. Why do they call it a squeeze page? Because the purpose is to squeeze out something like an email address, or in some cases, get someone to buy something. Pretty funny. And then the third tool is Aweber, which is the autoresponder. And when I say an autoresponder, that's the tool I use to trigger emails. I talked about an eSeries before. That there, in my opinion, when you get to an eSeries, that's almost like the holy grail of automation, because what you're doing is you're inviting people to engage with you on a regular basis while you sleep and form a relationship with you. So let's break this down. There's my lead magnet, or my calling card, as some people call it. Blow your marketing budget. Or 5 ways to blow your marketing budget. How to avoid expensive mistakes. This here was created in eCover Creator in about 2 seconds. I'm exaggerating, but literally it would have been 4 or 5 minutes for Anthony. Then that might be embedded on a squeeze page, which is essentially a landing page. Someone has asked, where do I get the Gaddy pitch? It's Gaddie is his name, and Google it. Simple as that. Or go to the Anthill website and type in Gaddie, and I'm sure he'll come up somewhere. Yes, if all else fails, keep calm and Google it. So this here is an example of a landing page or a squeeze page. This one here I've got two purposes. I want someone to click the button that says become indispensable or click the button that says become unstoppable. Now, I'm going to do something risky here. I'm going to jump out of the presentation for a second to show you the back end of some of this stuff. Let's see if this is going to work for me. The borderline Luddite is exiting his comfort zone. Here we go. I've got out. This here is a landing page that I'm using to promote an event of mine on the 22nd of June. This is how it looks. Nice, neat, clean. Now, I could say that this page took me half an hour to create, but I'd be lying. The first version of it took me half an hour to complete. The reason why is that I created, using Unbounce, gee, how many versions is that? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. That's how many versions I created. And what I did is I split tested them. And I split tested them again and again and again and again. So eventually I came up with one version which was able to give me a 12.41% conversion rate. On a page that's selling a product or a service, that is extremely high. Very proud of that, folks. So, your customer might see something like this, which is my landing page or my squeeze page. One purpose in your world might be get them to watch the video and collect an email address, or it might be to sell something, and you can use it again and again and again and again. Let's jump back into the presentation that I was in. Whew! Got out and got in, unscathed. Very pleasing. The third tool that I referred to was one called Aweber. Now, many of you will already use an email technology, something like MailChimp or Campaign Monitor or something like that. I use Aweber because it's very good at managing these trigger emails, these autoresponder emails. What do I mean by that? I mean that when someone signs up for one email, you can set it up so that it will trigger another email saying 5 days time. 7 days time, and then another one 7 days after that, and then another one 7 days after that. They can unsubscribe if they don't like what you're selling, of course. And when I say selling, I'm saying selling information. If they don't like your Kool-Aid, they can unsubscribe. But what you're doing is you're engaging with them in a consistent way, once again, while you sleep. This is the back end of one that I only created probably about a month ago. It's got 387 opt-ins already, and as you can see, I've run a number of different lead magnets to different target audiences. The business owner, the blogger, the consultant, the development web developer or marketer, the retail owner. Whole bunch of different ones. And some of them have been more successful than others in terms of the number of people who have signed up. Now, I said they trigger a series of emails. So this is what it might look like. You set a number of emails. I've got 5 in this series. The first one gets dispatched immediately. You can probably see, can you see my mouse? You can't see my mouse. Okay. Left middle, you see the words message and then the word interval under the words follow up. You can see that the first one there's a 0 interval, which means that the first email was dispatched immediately. The second email is dispatched after 2 days. The next one after that after 3 days, since the last email. The next one after another 3 days. So by then we're down at 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 2 is 8. So 8, and then I've got a big gap between 14. The 14th day, big gap. That's how that works, and that's the order that I got. So now I'm going to drill down a little bit further again. Oh, by the way, yes, I should mention this. That's what an email might look like. Now, rookie mistake here is that when you send the email, you actually provide the video or the content of the blog or whatever it is actually in that email. Just give them a teaser because you want to get them back to your landing page or back to your website or back to your blog so they can watch the video or they can read the article or they can take part in the checklist or they can download the eBook or they can register for the white paper or whatever it might be. Or someone, Mike's told me my mouse pointer is visible, and thank you, Jared, too. Well, that's good to know. As I said before, I call this the basic loop. And if I'm going to run down what I've got on the screen here, it usually works like this. It starts with a calling card. We know what that is now. It points to a squeeze page. We know what that is now. Then the squeeze page when someone on the squeeze page is obviously your opt-in to sign up for the email series or the opt-in form to sign up to download the ebook, and that there is connected to Aweber, which if you're putting these things together, it pretty much walks you through how to do it. I'm talking about tools that I thoroughly recommend because they're very simple to use. Unbounce's drag and drop, eCover Creator, as I said, it's a 5-minute job. Aweber is getting a little bit more complicated, but it's the easiest of the bunch, in my opinion, for autoresponders. So the first email might be the welcome message. Now, I always say this, when someone signs up, the first thing should just be straight away they get a message. Now, this is not selling them anything. It's not promoting anything. It is saying, I am this human being, and thank you for my trust. I'm a human being, and thank you for my trust. And here is my story. It's not the what, it's the why. Here's why I started Anthill Magazine. Here's why I started this business. Here's why I do what I do. The reason why we're doing this is we want to introduce people to the fact that you're a human being, that you're a decent human being, and you know, you really want good things. Because this is the way this should be done. Because if you're not adding value to your leads and your target market, well, you know, you're not doing a good job anyway. I mean, you know, the master chefs don't get to the end of their recipe then turn around and say, well, I'm not going to show you the last ingredient. Of course not. They're doing it because they want to help you. They want to teach you. And sooner or later people will hire you just because they know that you're the best at what you do because they've seen the videos and what have you. So the welcome message is really about introducing yourself. And you'll also radically reduce the unsubscribes. Then, of course, a day later, or whenever you want it to be, you get the first installment. Thanks for signing up to my series, or thanks for downloading the ebook or the video. I've got something else for you. It's called a roadmap. It's a system. It's a visual map of what it is that I do and how I can use it to help you. Second installment. Here's a blog post. Whatever it's going to be. Third installment. Why don't you register for my webinar? Fourth installment. You can see where I'm going here. Now, when we get to the fifth installment, I often like to invite people when we get to it's actually the fifth installment, which is the 8th step, and it's the 6th email, just to be confusing, is I like to invite people to share the things that I've provided to them, or share the calling card with their mates. Sometimes I give them a reason, such as, get this free thing. I've got something free for you. All you have to do is tweet it, or refer a friend, or Facebook it. There are services, one's called Pay Per Tweet, I think it's called. I might have to put this in the email, I can't remember what they are, but they're automated, they're little technologies that allow you to put something of value behind I'm not going to call it a paywall. Well, it is a paywall, but the payment is someone will tweet your message or Facebook it. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I want someone, after I've built a degree of trust with them, to repopulate my loop. I want them to send their mates back to the calling card. So it begins again. There's one more step or element to this that I haven't mentioned, and that is usually about the 2nd or 3rd installment, I might start to introduce a PS. And the PS is if I've got something that I want them to buy, or I want them to sign up for something. If you're seeking leads or consultants, that might be the time where you point them to a survey, or once again, before I said, a checklist, so that they can engage with you on a more deeper level, or give them an opportunity to reach out to you. So I'm going to go down a little bit harder, deeper now again. So this is if you really want to get hardcore. This is the hardcore loop. Step 1, you have your calling card. We know this. Promote your headache widely. Someone has said to me in the messages, should I send this to my existing database? Well, I'll tell you what, if your existing database, how often do you connect with them? If you never connect with them, give them a reason to connect with you, and then create a system where you're connecting with them weekly or fortnightly or monthly. You might be in a B2B sales business, something like industrial design, for example, where it takes 6 to 18 months for someone to actually make the decision to buy from you. It's going to take 6 to 18 months to make a decision to buy with you. Send them an email once a month. Set this up so it's not 7 days or 3 days, it's 30 days. And then over that period of time, 9 months go past, by which time they're ready to actually invest in their industrial design project, because they've got their venture capital funding and all the rest. Who are they going to think of? They're going to think of you. Otherwise, they would have forgotten you. So yes, please do send it to your database. Work with other people in your industry. So the calling card, and disseminate it to each other's audiences. Calling card, promote your headache widely. Squeeze page, collect the email address. Welcome, personal story and feedback support option. First item, first promised item, shoot straight, no upsell. Now this is where I talk about getting hardcore. Item 2 is often what is described as a product for prospects. What's a product for prospects? It's something small that you can sell for maybe $29.95 or $39.95 or $97 or whatever it is. The reason why I do that is that a percentage of the people who've signed up, there might be a small percent, 5%, 10%, whatever they're interested in what it is that you have to sell. I'm talking about productizing your knowledge in some way if you can. The reason why I do that is that this small number, 5-10%, if they buy something, with Aweber, you can set it up so that the email chain splits and you can put them on a new loop. And the new loop is designed for people who are seriously into what you do. They're really excited about what you do and they have a pain point that they need you to solve. And immediately you can start to treat those people differently, speak to them more often, present them with more information, give them more reasons to come see you, maybe run a breakfast, as once before I said, have a webinar, and get these people to interact with you on a deeper level. If they haven't signed up for the product for prospects, that's okay. By the way, that's another tip from the key person of influence people, as good people. If they don't, continue with the promised items. Perhaps then give them a bonus item. Then another promise, another item of high perceived value. But by the time we get to E7, email 7, I would usually give them a last chance for the product for prospects. Then I would upsell on a new series, some other topic of interest that's likely to be of interest to them. And then the final one, I sometimes give them a product for prospects for word of mouth, as I said before. We're going to give you this thing anyway, but here's how we want you to pay. Sorry, someone's asked what was a PFP? It's a product for prospects. It's something small and cheap and affordable to most people that will help you sort out the people who are serious about what you have to offer and people who are not. Now, if you're in the knowledge industry, like you're a consultant or in B2B sales, it's worthwhile finding something small that your target market would be interested in and likely to buy. You can either create yourself as something yourself as a digital knowledge product, or you might look around. You might look around you and say, oh, that organization over there has got something that my target market would be interested in, and you become a reseller. You can even make money from that. Whoa, wouldn't that be cool? You're making money while you're generating leads. But by the time we get to email 8, where we can offer, maybe particularly if it's a digital product that we've built ourselves, we can offer that for word of mouth. We'll give you this roadmap for free, but we need you to tweet it. And then we've got to 9 again, we're reiterating that message to upsell on a new series, which is a new loop. That there is what I describe as the basic loop, and then I've delved into what is the hardcore loop. And the tools that I said before are eCover Creator, Unbounce, and Aweber as my autoresponder. Because step 3 is to nurture the prospects. You are reaching out and engaging with people again and again and again and again while you sleep. Has anyone else had problems with my sound? Paul has said, what happened to the sound? Is it just Paul or is it everyone? Might be just Paul. Sorry, mate. Check your computer settings. So, how to create a lead magnet. 1, create a compelling topic. This is going to sound unusual, but to be honest, folks, that is often the hardest bit. Everybody gets fixated on the technology, and the technology frightens them, or it surprises them, or it seems overwhelming. I hate to say it, if a Luddite like me can use it, it's not that hard. The hard bit is creating the compelling topic that your target audience are going to say, whoa, that clearly caters to the headache that I have. I'm working with an accountant right now. They can't run this checklist, because unfortunately they're not allowed by law. But we came up with a fantastic headache until it was kiboshed by the ATO. But it was, what are the chances of you getting, what are the chances of your cafe being tax audited? His target market are cafes. He is a tax man. Of course everyone wants to fill out that checklist because they're terrified of being audited. What they don't want to know is him saying, I provide a complete accounting and BAS services package. No, boring. Second, create the perception of value. Make it look great. Third, automate, automate, automate. And the best suggestion that I can have there is use something like an autoresponder tool like Aweber. So, back to the beginning. Want more leads? Well, the easiest way that I know of to do that is to share your recipes. Whammo, share your recipes. So we've got 15 more minutes before this webinar's officially supposed to end. When we get to the end, there's a couple things that I want you to do. I want you to complete the exit survey, and there are 3 good reasons to do that. 1, I will give you access to the slideshow and the recording. Second, I will give you a discount to an event called Conquer the Web, which I can talk about in a minute. And 3, I will organize through our good sponsors and good friends at Citrix to give you a free trial of Citrix GoToWebinar. I've talked about creating content, and to be honest, folks, if you've ever done a PowerPoint presentation in front of a group of people, if you've ever stood up in front of a group of people with your PowerPoint presentation behind you and gone click, 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 click and walked through that slides, you are more than capable and competent of conducting a webinar and recording it, which becomes an amazing recipe, an item of content that is highly appealing to your target market. It's a very good, easy starter point. So, we're at that point where I can actually pay attention to your questions and take some questions. And do stick around. As I said before, I've got tickets to Conquer the Web, which is an event that I'm holding in Melbourne on the 22nd of June, which is not this Friday but next Friday. I'm holding the first one in Melbourne. I've booked the State Library, 200 seats we've got, and we've already sold 160 tickets. It's been absolutely amazing. If you're not from Melbourne, I'll include a link in the email where you can register if you're interested to attend in another state when we're ready and we're able to do that. So you can say, bring this one to me. But if you are interested in Melbourne, it's normally $49. I'll give you the coupon code UNDIES, and that will get you a $19 ticket. And if you have already bought a ticket and you've spent $49, I personally hate it when I buy something and then I find out later that it's on sale and it's cheap. If you're one of those people, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or whatever method that you have, or just complete the questionnaire survey at the end and say, I've already spent my $49. This is really unfair, James. Can I have the $19 tickets and I'll hook you up? So, do we have any questions? I've got, well done, mate. Awesome. Okay. That's good. Good feedback. You cannot seriously tell me that I've done such a good job that I've run out of questions. Okay, Peter, what tools have you tried, can you recommend for creating content videos? All right, one I've just mentioned 1 second ago, and that there is of course a webinar. Webinars can be a little bit frightening. Hey, thank you, Aaron. He just called me seriously cool. No one's ever called me that before. Webinars, people see them as frightening, and they are a little bit frightening from a technology perspective, but you know what? You can run a webinar with 10 people. And you run a webinar with 10 people and you get comfortable about it and you run through your slideshow and you talk about it, you record it, and you've got something awesome. That's a really good, helpful tool. That's one tool for filming it. A second tool that simple thing that I recommend is that you grab a flip camera. I use a Kodak flip camera when I'm really sad that the Kodak are going out of business, called the ZI-8, and I bought that for about $300. I use the ZI-8 for 2 reasons. One, it's got a little thumb drive, USB drive at the side, so I can pull it out, and after I've recorded something I can stick it straight into my laptop and download it. The other thing that's cool about it is it's got an external mic jack, so I can actually get good sound When it comes to video, people will tolerate poor vision, but they will not tolerate poor sound. That's what they won't do. So I recommend that. Then, of course, all I've got is a tripod. And then, because I'm a Luddite, folks, because I'm a PC dude, not an awesome Mac dude. If you're a Mac person, you've probably already figured out how to edit a video because that's the way that your mind works. But if you're a PC person like me, I use Windows Live Movie Maker. And it's very, 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 very simple. So let's have a look at some other questions. Where do you go to source a series of emails templates? You know what? I don't go to somewhere to source them. I write them myself. But lately I've been seeing some pretty awesome email templates coming out of a service from the US called AppSumo, AppSumo, which is like a group buying service for apps. That's for Kate. And me personally, I just like to create my emails and I do it again. I just do it my own way. Have we got any other questions? What is your headline creator? Need some creative juice. You know what? Best tip for headlines I've ever heard is this one. Imagine that you're walking down the street and you hear someone say something. It's called the Scooby-Doo, the Scooby-Doo technique. You're walking down the street and you hear someone say something and you go, like Scooby-Doo, and you turn your head. So you've walked past and someone has said, I just found $100, and you go, Rrr. Now imagine that sort of statement, a headline, a Scooby-Doo headline. I just found $100. Now that technique I've seen used by people, and they use that as the headline. And then you open the email, and the email says, hi friend, name of the person. I was recently walking down the street and I heard a guy say, I just found $100. And I turned around and I went, like Scooby-Doo. But you know what? Then I stopped and I thought, you know what? If I got my email marketing right, why would I care if I found $100 on the pavement? Because I'd be selling a product for prospects to a whole bunch of people for $29.95, which is a digital product. All I'd need to do is sell 3. So there we go, folks. So what I've got is I've decided to offer my product for prospects creation tool. Now I don't have one of them, but you can see where I'm going, huh? I've started with a headline that is really what a Scooby-Doo moment. The other thing that I would suggest is that where possible, you split test your headlines. You split test your headlines. Oh, well, thank you, Kate, for a first ever webinar. She was a webinar virgin. Kate Reed, thank you for joining us. So what other questions do we have? Before I finish up, what is your take on referral programs and do they work? Oh, we're getting sophisticated now. I have used them, and I think that they do work. But these days, I much prefer using something like a pay-per-tweet, which is an immediate and a simple and an easy way of doing what it is that you do. I've just remembered the second tool that I use, Cloudflood, Cloudflood. Now that's a really simple way to create. Once again, this is a 5-minute job, and you can create a pay-per-tweet button on your website. Someone's asked me what the best checkout tools from Aweber. I don't actually have an answer to that. Someone's asked me, sorry about that. I'll have to think about that, Rick. Rosie wants to know if you tried MailChimp for autoresponder versus Aweber. Currently have my list in MailChimp. You know what? I use MailChimp as well for different purposes, and I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty awesome, actually. But for some reason, I've become particularly adept at using Aweber for autoresponders because I think it's better for autoresponders. For a big fat blast, and you want to split test your headline, like an weekly email newsletter that you're going to devise and craft with love and passion, like our Beer O'Clock email, I would use something like MailChimp for something like that. A couple of people have suggested WhoStream is a good video tool, and Buzzcard is a startup which is providing clever branding tool for videos. I also use a video tool called Viral Video. This is wild, this tool, because it allows you to embed an Aweber form in the video, or it allows you to embed a retweet button in a video. So if you want to be really mercenary, you can say, I've got something fantastic to show you. It's coming up in a minute, but first, you need to sign up. So that's actually embedding the Aweber form, or if you want to see what's next, retweet this message into the video. I haven't used it that much, not in the mercenary ways like that. I've maybe put it at the end, but that's how people use it. That one is called a viral video, and I'll put a link out to that as well too. Do you use Web Designer to produce your unbound sites? No, I do not. I do not, Tom, and the reason why is Unbounce, it initially provides you with about 12 to 16 templates that you can start with. And then after that, it's drag and drop. It's drag and drop. It's very, very simple. Oh, someone says the headline was misleading. What about the making more friends? That's making more friends portion. Well, where this is all leading, and everything that I've said, is that you start off being a stranger to your target market. You are probably not particularly famous in your you're not famous in your segment. The desire, if you want to get more leads, make more friends, and have more meetings, is to become micro famous. So if you want to become micro famous, obviously the beginning way is to start off creating content. Content that's not great for everyone, it's compelling to your target market. Here's what happens. People get involved in that loop that I'm talking about, and they're engaging with you. They're buying stuff and this sort of thing. But what also happens is that the more famous that you become, the more people are naturally reaching out to you. You've heard of the expression VIP, very important person. Now, Anthony Gaddy describes these people as a very interested prospect. And what we're doing here is we're converting strangers into people who are basically digital friends, to people who can then become like a friend in the real world, because then they become a very interested prospect. Now, I don't exaggerate when I say this. I get about 3 invitations to have a coffee with a stranger every day via LinkedIn. I go in LinkedIn and I've got 3 invitations every day to have a coffee with a stranger. I try my hardest to have a coffee with one of those strangers at least once a week, because I think that that's essential to business development. So in that instance, what I'm doing is I'm talking about making friends. I obviously pick the one that sounds the most interest to me, but I also try and pick someone who is quite a random stranger from a completely different industry that I can't see the connection or how we would even work together, because I honestly believe no great steps forward happen staring at an Excel spreadsheet or staring at your email. They come from engaging in things like this, or going out to networking events, or talking to someone and having a meeting. So Bonnie wanted to know how does this make friends? Well, the first thing is that about 3 people, as a result of this process and creating videos and introducing people to myself, sharing my recipes, people are constantly asking me to have a coffee with them. People with me, they want to be my friends. Now that's just LinkedIn. Then of course I've got Facebook. People constantly, once again, heard the webinar, love to connect with you on Facebook. I'm in Melbourne on this date, let's hang out. And of course people coming up to me in meetings. So yeah, Bonnie, that's how I want to bring this back into making more friends. Having more meetings in your sleep in your underpants. The example that I would like to give is Anthony Gaddy, who's had 600 people watch his video in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that, where in his eyes he's having a meeting with this person. He's sharing what it is that he does and why he's of value to them, but they're watching it while he sleeps. Now we've got to the end, and I'm just going to see if there's one more question before I wind up. Thank you, Peter, for saying that I rock. I'm cool and I rock. I'll have to tell my wife when I get home tonight. Okay. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing the are you single? Do you have a gorgeous daughter? No, Tracy, I'm married, but thank you. So it's kind feedback. I'll tell you what, let's continue this conversation on Twitter if you're using that, and by all means, when I send you the follow-up information, please feel free to respond to that email. I actually have set it up so it replies to a Gmail email of mine, and that means that it will come to me and I can actually respond to your questions. Also, as I said before, I've got some discount tickets for the people. Anyone who wants to attend my event in Melbourne on the 22nd of June, the URL is conquertheweb.com.au, and the password code to get your $19 ticket is undies. Now, I know people say this to create a sense of urgency, and they say don't wait, and they say hurry and all this other stuff. But as I said before, we've got 200 tickets. We've already sold 160. 100 of them went in 4 hours on Friday when we put out an email. I've never seen anything like it. So anyway, if you do want to do that, don't mess around. And I hope that you enjoyed the webinar. I hope that you got heaps out of it. Please do not forget to complete the exit survey, and I look forward to catching up with you next time in our next Undy Empire webinar series. Signing off.